Welcome to BlizzCon 2017 coverage, brought to you by
Oh wait, what's my target? What am I looking at? Deer in the headlights?
Hey guys, DJTyrant here from BlizzPro. We are talking all about BlizzCon. We will be talking about World of Warcraft and all the earth-shattering announcements today. I have with me Ktjn and Crow. First things first, let's just get the elephant out of the room. Classic World of Warcraft is coming. That's all we know.
It's a thing.
It's a thing that's happening.
It is definitely a thing that is taking place.
Ktjn.
So I guess initial thoughts and what Blizzard can do to make it a fun experience for players who either have played Classic or even players who want to experience Classic for the first time around.
It's hard to dial up the rose-tinted glasses on that one. Like, I didn't play in vanilla, so for me it's always the reminiscing of people who did, and it'll be curious as a player to go in and see friends who compare if it fit or not, but also it had to be coming between how rabid they've been about shutting down, the illegal servers and actually, bringing those guys out for talks. It's nice that they're listening to us, even when people don't think so. They're listening because they care.
Yeah. Crow, I know you played vanilla as well as myself.
Mm-hmm.
It took me way too long to figure out what J. Allen Brack was hinting at. Did you pick up on that quickly with the ice cream jokes?
Once he started talking about ice cream, it's kind of like, no, there's only one way this can go. And I was concerned because it's like, I had thought that they had talked about it. It had been a thing that they were considering doing. Like when the Nostalrius crew came out, they had talked about it, but they had determined at the time, no, we can't do this. It's too much to do. So it is completely just out of left field to see them, announcing it here, and it's just going to be, it's going to be quite the needle to thread to come up with exactly how to do this in order to make it so that you really capture the people who have been playing on the private servers, and also get people who are playing the modern game and have them go back and be interested in giving this a try as well. We know so little about it, but there's so much that they could do with it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And the only other thing they really showed was a trailer that was all the WoW trailers backwards in Chromie. Yeah. What do you guys think of that, just real quickly?
It's clever. I mean, what better way than to play through it backwards, especially with the way that they're adding content to, the regular stuff that's coming in 8.0. Actually, before that is bringing it back so you can kind of play the game the way that you want to, not the way that it's played out in real time.
Yeah, and like the mechanism of rewinding through all of those cinematics, it does visually take you back to that point, which is really good. And ending it, right at the point where you have that iconic shot of Ironforge and the dwarf hunter and his pet bear, right before they almost get killed by a Tauren dude, I think.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about that cinematic is I remember downloading that on dial-up.
Yeah.
Like, that's how long ago that cinematic was. But talking about new stuff, we also had a new expansion announced. That's what we were expecting. We were not expecting Classic, but we did expect an expansion.
Yeah.
Very heavy story-focused. Crow, I know you're the resident lore guy, so I want to talk a little bit about it and how they introduced it.
The main thing that they did to introduce Battle for Azeroth is framing the notion of the Alliance versus the Horde and how everything that we've been going at, every fight that we've had in every expansion has been, we have to work together in order to take out this problem. But now, when we don't have that problem to face off against, we can turn our attentions to one another and figure out who's really going to be running the show, who's going to be running the planet at the end of the day. And I'm not personally a big fan of the faction conflict, but I think if you have an entire expansion to play with the faction conflict, then that may make a big difference in terms of how well this story plays out. So I'm really looking forward to that part of it.
It's not like they're completely doing away with separate narrative. You start out that way, but eventually they're opening it up. So you get to have that opportunity of seeing those experiences when you first started out in Kul Tiras. And just that in and of itself, like, I've heard about it from people that, played the old RTS and stuff like that, because I'm a Wrath baby. There's lots of stuff that I get, you know, come sit on my lap and down by the fire, and I'll tell you about the old days. So it's nice to see them bring that sort of thing, but also stuff that's still new and fresh, and there's lots of exploration to be done and questions to be answered.
Definitely.
Yeah, so there was a ton to talk about, a ton that they announced, a ton they talked about at the What's New panel that we're still digesting. But the one thing they did, which is a little different from the norm, is they went ahead and released the cinematic for this new expansion. And what a doozy that was. I mean, we had all the major players, all the major feels, Sylvanas turning into Banshee form, Anduin becoming a man. Oh my goodness.
It is amazing what they have done to transform his character over the course of the entire history of the MMO so far, because he obviously wasn't a character in the RTS games. But it is amazing to watch his evolution, and also amazing to watch the evolution of how the cinematics team gets so much better with conveying emotion through these characters. Because you look at Anduin's face, and you look at what he's going through, you know, during this fight, and seeing everything that's happening around him and how he reacts to it, and just it is amazingly human, and it's something that, like, I can't say enough about it because it's so fantastic looking. It was really, really amazing to see that, have them just sucker punch us with that after dropping the expansion, you know, demo reel that they normally do. So yeah.
Yeah, I did appreciate the J. Allen Brack doing the little bit of one more thing Apple style. But
yeah.
What were your thoughts on what we saw in the trailer and everything else?
There's just so much to digest. Like, Sylvanas is my girl, and I'm just excited to see her, you know, really take charge of the Horde and own it. And, you know, that's amazing, but I want to know, why are we fighting at Lordaeron? Why are we losing Undercity? Like, what's going to go on there?
Yeah.
And then what's going to bring that? Like, obviously, we've got Jaina coming back, and so we're starting out with lots of loose ends. We had some in Legion, and these have nothing to do with it, and so many questions to be answered.
Yeah, and I didn't get to catch the What's New panel for a while, but I've been able to read a little bit of the rumblings about it, and it sounds like we're getting a ton of stuff in this next patch that's coming out, including a much improved leveling system, kind of being inspired from the Legion leveling system, where you could pick any of the 4 zones to start your leveling out. It doesn't matter your level. You just go to the zone you want to and level through that content. And what do you think that means just for the game as a whole going forward, and as players roll through new alts and stuff like that?
Go first.
I think just the way that Warcraft is 13 years old. Stuff gets antiquated. We've grown up. There's just a lot of times there's too much time to take to go back and to make it relevant to bring other people in. It's like, I've played other games that had similar systems, and it was really, really nice because you could still puddle through and not lose anything, and there's just so much world to be consumed that it's kind of a shame to watch it be forgotten, and now it doesn't have to be.
And, like, there's a lot of value, I think, in recognizing how much content there was in the original game and in the expansions, that the first time you go through it, the first time we went through it, obviously years and years ago, it's not as fresh in our minds now. If we wanted to go through it again, and they're building in an opportunity for us to do that, if we wanted to go through it again, it would be great to be able to experience angles of it that maybe we didn't do before. So having the chance to go through these leveling zones, and, you know, not, because they mentioned something about how the game sometimes would pull you out of the zone before you were really done with the story, and making it so that you can't really out-level the zone in that way anymore means that you can finish the story and have a complete narrative, and every character then has this set of narratives that they went through, which could be different for every other character that you're playing through. Yeah, so it's fantastic for players that love alts.
So I guess the final thing I want to touch on is they announced this briefly in the announcement video, and this was kind of what we were expecting. I don't remember exactly what they called it. Someone will correct me, I'm sure, in the comments. Allied races, yeah, that's right. So what do you guys think of that? No new classes, at least so far, and I don't think we're expecting any new classes, but what do you think about the allied races and just a little bit more visual variety in player characters?
It's nice to see hindsight be kind of 2020. Like, they were dropping it here and there. You saw the Nightborn using, Night Elf models. We saw the Tauren with their moose antlers sort of thing. So it was, hints were dropped, but, I mean, we've asked for it before, and they just, didn't deem it relevant. So it's nice to be able to spread your wings a little bit, build a little more. Most of us, especially, have been playing for a while. We have stories for our characters, and so to be able to kind of actually make them identify with that a little bit more is really, really neat. Even if I'm a little butthurt about the void over there, jealous and bitter.
Look, you get to have Sylvanas, we get to have the Void Elves, okay? Hashtag deal with it.
We get Lysra.
That's true. You get the Lysra.
Yeah.
Best girl Thalysra. They're everything that she said I'm totally into. But probably the core thing that I'm interested in is not just the 6 allied races that they've announced so far, but the note they had that there's going to be more down the line. That's just going to be amazing.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think that's going to be closing out our WoW coverage, or WoW First Impressions. Make sure to stay tuned on our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on social media at BlizzPro and BlizzPro.com for the latest on all Blizzard news. This is DJTyrant from BlizzCon 2017. Thank you for checking us out, and we will talk to you soon.
For more BlizzCon 2017 coverage, check us out at BlizzPro.com. Subscribe to us here on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and Facebook at BlizzPro.